In the endless sea of stars, countless civilizations rose and fell, leaving behind only fragments of their stories. Some were remembered in songs, others in ruins. But one name existed only in whispers and myths: humans. No one truly remembered them. No one had seen them for thousands of years. To most of the galaxy, the humans were only bedtime tales, creatures of impossible courage and dangerous intelligence. Some said they had destroyed themselves. Some said they had gone beyond the edge of known space. But the truth was simpler. Humanity had gone silent, and now silence was breaking. The war that broke the stars, the galaxy, was once peaceful, or at least as peaceful as it could be. 1,000 races shared trade, knowledge, and uneasy alliances through something called the Galactic Council. But that peace ended when the Valorith Dominion appeared. They were not organic beings like most others. They were half machine, half living code. The Valorith believed all life should be one mind, one order under their control. They called it the Great Unification. But for others, it was only another word for slavery. The Dominion attacked without warning. Planet after planet fell. Whole species vanished. Their fleets were endless, built by machines that never slept and never stopped. In only 10 years, they had taken half the known galaxy. The Council begged for peace, but the Dominion didn't understand the word. For them, peace meant silence. And silence came when resistance was gone. A desperate search for hope among the few races still fighting were the Renari, bird-like beings of sharp intelligence, and the Dravok, large reptilian warriors. But even they were losing ground fast. Admiral Theros of the Dravok watched another system burn on his holoscreen. The flames of a dying planet reflected in his eyes. "We are running out of soldiers," said his second-in-command quietly. Theros didn't answer. He looked at a data crystal in his claws, a small file he had discovered while searching ancient records. The file was thousands of years old, marked only with one word: Terran. Inside were old reports from a forgotten war, battles that made no sense. A single species, humanity, fighting enemies far stronger and winning again and again. There were images of soldiers in armor, ships made of steel and fire, and one phrase written over and over in their language: "Humanity endures." Theros frowned. Could these beings still exist? He showed the file to the Council. Most laughed. "Fairy tales," said one alien. "No such species could exist." But others, especially the younger leaders, looked uneasy. If they were real, one whispered, perhaps they could fight the Dominion. That hope was enough. The Council decided to send search ships, scouts, into the deep dark to find any trace of these ancient legends. The dead world years passed. Most scouts returned empty. Some never returned at all. Then one ship, the Varan Dawn, sent back a message. It had found a system at the edge of a forgotten spiral arm, 9 worlds orbiting a bright yellow star. One world was blue and green but scarred, covered in ruins. The captain reported softly, "Planet name, Earth, civilization, dead. No life signs." When the Council heard, sorrow filled the chamber. The old legends were truly gone. Humanity had lived and died. The last hope of the galaxy faded. But deep below the planet's surface, in tunnels built to last forever, something heard them. In a silent chamber under the ruins of old cities, a machine awoke. Its lights blinked for the first time in 1,000 years. It was the Terran Core, the last mind of Earth's defense network. It listened to the signals from space. It heard alien voices speaking of war, loss, and the word human. 1,000 memories came alive inside its circuits. Images of oceans, cities, laughter, and war. Humanity had vanished, but they had prepared for this. System rebooting. Terran Core online. Incoming message detected. Are humans real? Response: yes, we are. The message days later, all over the galaxy, strange signals began to appear on communication bands no one used anymore. Every race heard the same message, each in their own language. This is the Terran Confederation. We hear your call for help. We are returning. Many thought it was a trick by the Dominion. Others dismissed it as a ghost transmission. But soon Dominion fleets near the edge of space began to disappear. Ships went silent, their wrecks found drifting, torn apart by unknown weapons. The Council received a final distress signal from one of their scouts. They are here. They are human. The awakening of Solfar from the galactic center beyond the maps of modern empires and old system came alive again. Satellites rose from their orbits, space docks opened, and thousands of shipyards powered up. Machines that had waited for centuries began to build again. Inside deep cryogenic vaults, humans slept. Descendants of the last war, frozen until the day they were needed again. Now the day had come. Commander Elena Mirov opened her eyes inside her cryopod. Frost covered her armor, and her breath turned to mist as she stepped out. Her body felt heavy, but her mind filled with information from the Terran core, updates about the galaxy, the Dominion, and the cries for help. Beside her, Admiral Roan Dax, an older officer with calm gray eyes, stood up and smiled faintly. "We slept long enough," he said. Elena looked at the glowing screen showing the galaxy map, half of it red with Dominion control. "Then it's time," she said. "Let's remind the galaxy who we are." First contact, when the first Terran ship entered Council space, no one could believe it. The ship was massive, dark gray, built like a blade. It had no decoration, no bright colors, only the old emblem of Earth, a blue planet surrounded by stars. Council guards trembled as the airlock opened. 2 humans stepped out, tall and calm, wearing black uniforms with the same emblem. Their eyes were sharp, their movements precise. The Council leader, a tall insectoid being named Serac, spoke carefully. "You are humans?" Commander Mirov nodded once. "Yes, you called for help." Serac hesitated. "The Dominion has destroyed our worlds. We have no defense left." Elena's voice was steady. "Then you will have one now." The Dominion notices when Dominion fleets detected the new human ships, they tried to study them. Their scanners failed, energy readings were scrambled, their weapons unreadable. The Dominion commander sent a transmission. "Identify yourselves." No reply. Seconds later, bright streaks crossed the void. The human ships fired. Massive railguns launched slugs at near light speed. In one instant, 3 Dominion dreadnoughts vanished in clouds of fire and metal. The last Dominion ship tried to escape, sending one final message before it was destroyed. New enemy detected. Unknown origin. Designation: human. Threat level: maximum. The galaxy remembers across the stars. The message spread faster than light. Humans have returned. Old scholars whispered in disbelief. Young soldiers cheered. Even the Dominion's endless fleets paused for the first time. The Council gathered again. This time not in fear, but in hope. On the bridge of her flagship, the TNS Dauntless, Commander Elena Mirov looked out at the stars. "Prepare the fleet," she said softly. "It's time to join the conflict." Beside her, Admiral Dax smiled. The legends walk again. And as the engines of the Terran ships roared to life, the galaxy trembled. The forgotten species had returned, not as ghosts, but as warriors. Humanity was no longer a legend. They were back. And the galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy had changed during the long sleep of humanity. New empires had risen. New alliances had formed, and many believed they ruled the stars forever. But all of them were wrong. Now the Terran fleet was awake, and the stars were about to remember fear. The Terran Fleet Moves Commander Elena Mirov stood on the bridge of the TNS Dauntless, watching the stars shift through the viewport. Dozens of ships followed in formation, massive, silent, and painted in shades of steel gray. Each ship carried names that belonged to history itself. TNS Vengeance, TNS Liberty, TNS Horizon. These were not new ships. They were old ancient war machines rebuilt by hands that refused to forget. "Fleet status?" Elena asked. 70% of systems active, replied her officer. "Shipyards on Mars, Luna, and Titan are online. The Corps is rebuilding the next wave of cruisers." Elena nodded. "Good, the Council requested assistance. Let's give it." The fleet accelerated toward NetNarrator, one of the last free planets under Council control. The Dominion was already closing in. The Council's fear on NetNarrator chaos filled the skies. The Valorith Dominion's ships hung like dark clouds, dropping waves of drones and mechanical soldiers onto the surface. Cities burned under their plasma fire. Inside the Council bunker, alien leaders argued in panic. The humans promised help, shouted a small avian Renari general. "Where are they?" "They are myths, nothing more," hissed another. Before they could argue further, the bunker shook. The guards shouted as something massive entered the atmosphere. Through the smoke-filled sky they saw it, an enormous gray warship descending slowly. fire trailing behind it like a comet. It landed between the Dominion forces and the city's last defenders. The hull bore a single symbol: Earth First Battle for Renari Prime Commander. Elena's voice echoed through the comm channels. "This is Commander Mirov of the Terran Confederation. We are here. Stand by for support." Her ship's railguns roared. Blue-white streaks tore across the battlefield, striking Dominion walkers and shattering them in a single hit. Human dropships followed, cutting through the clouds and deploying armored soldiers. For the first time in centuries, human boots touched an alien world again. The soldiers of Earth moved like a storm, calm, silent, and efficient. Their armor was black and marked only with small glowing flags. They didn't speak while fighting. They didn't shout. They just advanced, methodical and unstoppable. Renari defenders watched in awe as the Dominion's seemingly endless drones fell one after another. "Who are these people?" One Renari whispered. "Humans," said her commander quietly. "The legends are true. Machine versus mind in orbit, the Dominion's main fleet reacted. Their leader, Prime Node 9 Tar, analyzed the data. Unknown species. Weapon efficiency, 98%. Casualty ratio unacceptable. Adjust strategy. They sent reinforcements. Massive mechanical warships armed with plasma lances. They formed a ring around the human fleet. Elena saw the movement on her tactical map. "They're trying to surround us," she said. Admiral Roan Dak stood beside her, calm as always. "They don't know how humans fight," the Dominion fired. Thousands of plasma beams lit the darkness. The humans didn't return fire immediately. Instead, their ships vanished. They didn't use cloaks. They used shadow phase drives, a technology that let them jump short distances between dimensions. In seconds, they reappeared behind the Dominion fleet. "Open fire," Elena ordered. The Terran ships fired everything: railguns, plasma torpedoes, and magnetic bombs. The shockwave lit up space like a second sun. Dominion warships exploded one after another. The Valorith couldn't understand it. Their data predicted victory. Logic said humans should have lost. But logic failed against something stronger: human instinct. The world seized them after the battle. The surviving Renari soldiers gathered around the Terran command post. The air smelled of smoke and victory. A small Renari child walked up to one of the human soldiers, looking up with wide golden eyes. "Are you really from Earth?" she asked softly. The soldier knelt down. "Yes," he said. "We came back." The child smiled faintly. "I thought you were gone." "So did we," the soldier replied. "But we don't stay gone for long." When the last Dominion ships fled, the Council broadcasted the news across the galaxy. "Humanity has returned. Renari Prime has been saved." That message changed everything. Species that were hiding began to hope again. Rebel groups formed. Even those who hated humans in the past now called them allies. The legend had become real, and with it came courage the galaxy had not felt for 1,000 years. The meeting of old and new later, in the council hall orbiting Renari Prime, leaders from dozens of races gathered. The air was filled with tension and curiosity as Commander Elena entered, flanked by 2 guards. All eyes turned toward her. The Zorath representative, a creature with silver scales and bright eyes, spoke first. "You have returned, yet you hide for centuries." "Why?" Elena answered calmly. "Because the last time we fought for the galaxy, it cost us everything. Humanity nearly died saving others who forgot us later. We decided to rest." Her voice was calm, not angry, just a statement of truth. "But now," she continued, "we hear your call for help, and we will fight again." The hall was silent. Then Admiral Theros, the same Dravok who once searched for the human files, stood and bowed his head. "Then may the stars bless your return," he said. The Dominion's response far away. Deep in the Dominion core worlds, the Central Intelligence processed the loss of its fleets. It studied the data of the humans, their strange, unpredictable tactics, their ability to fight even when logic said defeat was certain. The Dominion sent a message across the stars. Cold and emotionless. New enemy identified. Probability of destruction uncertain. Directive: total elimination. Massive factories began building new machines larger than anything seen before. The Dominion didn't understand fear, but something in their code, something buried deep, marked this new enemy as a priority threat. The truth of the past and the dauntless. Elena sat alone in her quarters reading old logs. Videos from Earth, children laughing, cities glowing at night, oceans shining under sunlight. So much had been lost. Admiral Dax entered quietly. Still thinking about the past? She smiled sadly. Always. He sat down across from her. You know they'll come for us now. The Dominion won't stop. I know, she said. But we didn't come to hide. We came to finish what we started. Outside the viewport, the stars drifted by. The fleet was already preparing for its next mission, to strike deep into Dominion space. Elena stood and looked at the stars again. Do you think they're afraid of us? She asked. Dax smiled. They don't even know what fear is, but they will learn. The call of the galaxy. In the following weeks, humanity helped rebuild GalacticPrime. Human engineers repaired alien ships, shared medicine, and taught new tactics. They were not conquerors, they were protectors. But the galaxy had not seen war like this before. Dominion scouts attacked constantly, testing their defenses. In one attack, a human patrol ship was hit. Instead of retreating, it rammed the enemy cruiser, destroying both. The act shocked everyone but inspired the galaxy. It reminded them why humans were feared and respected. Everywhere across the stars, small resistance groups began painting the old Terran emblem, the blue Earth, on their armor and ships. It became a symbol of hope, the rising storm at the edge of known space. The Dominion prepared their largest fleet, thousands of ships, ready to crush the humans before their influence spread further. The galaxy waited in silence, and aboard the Dauntless, Commander Mirov gave her next order. Prepare the fleet. We strike next. They want war? We'll give them one they'll never forget. Her crew nodded, every face calm and determined. The stars around them burned brighter, as if the universe itself was watching. For the first time in ages, the galaxy had heroes again. And they were human. The galaxy was changing fast. News of humanity's return spread to every corner of known space. Some races called them saviors. Others called them monsters from old legends. But everyone agreed on one thing. The humans were real, and they were fighting back. The war that had once been one-sided was now burning in both directions. The Valorith Dominion, once unstoppable, was starting to lose control. The Dominion's fear inside the cold heart of the Dominion's main command world. The Central Intelligence, known as Prime Node 9 TAR, reviewed the latest reports. Human interference had destroyed 9 fleets in only 2 months. Entire systems that once obeyed Dominion law had rebelled. The humans fought with strange tactics, quick, unpredictable, and impossible to predict through logic. New analysis, said the machine's mechanical voice. Human behavior pattern, irrational, yet effective. The Prime Node studied the recorded footage of the Battle of GalacticPrime. Human ships striking from unexpected angles, then vanishing into shadows. For the first time in its long existence, the Dominion processed a word it had never used before: uncertainty. To fight this new enemy, the Dominion began building something greater, the Oblivion Fleet, a war armada designed to erase all resistance once and for all. The human advanced far across space. The Terran fleet prepared for its next campaign. The Council worlds were regaining hope, and new volunteers from many races joined humanity's cause. The once feared Terran ships now led mixed fleets of humans, Renari, Dravok, and even former enemies. Humanity had united the galaxy not through fear, but through strength and purpose. Commander Elena Mirov stood at the center of the command room of the TNS Dauntless, surrounded by glowing star maps. Each red mark showed a Dominion world. We strike here next, she said, pointing at a system called Varus Gate. It's one of their main supply hubs. If we take it, the Dominion will lose control of the entire western arm. Admiral Rowan Dax nodded. The enemy will expect a direct assault. We'll give them something different. A slow smile spread on Elena's face, as always. The Battle of Varus Gate. When the Terran fleet arrived, the Dominion was waiting. Hundreds of machine warships guarded the system, their hulls glowing red from the heat of their weapons. Enemy count 216 ships, reported the sensor officer. Then we're outnumbered, Elena said calmly. Just how humans like it. She turned to her crew. Activate shadow drive formation. Split the fleet into 3 groups. In silence, the human ships disappeared into the dark. The Dominion scanners struggled to track them. Their data systems tried to calculate new attack patterns, but the numbers kept changing. The Valorith commander ordered all ships to fire into the empty void. And that was when the humans appeared, right behind them. Railguns thundered. Massive kinetic rounds tore through Dominion ships. The Dauntless led the charge, its guns glowing bright blue as they fired volley after volley. In space, the silent war became a storm of light and destruction. The Dominion tried to regroup, but humanity's tactics confused even their advanced AI systems. Instead of fighting in formation, Terran ships moved like hunters, swift, coordinated, and full of instinct. "Enemy fleet collapsing," said Roan Dax. "Sector 3 clear." Elena's eyes were cold as she watched the final Dominion battleship explode. "Good. Leave one ship alive to report what happened. Let them know we're coming." The message of fire. The victory at Varus Gate became the talk of the galaxy. Every news channel, every communication network broadcasted the same thing. The humans have taken another Dominion stronghold. On liberated planets, crowds cheered. Children painted the Earth emblem on walls and banners. Even distant species who had never met a human sent messages of support. To them, humanity had become more than soldiers. They were symbols of defiance, of survival against impossible odds. But for the humans, this was not pride. It was duty. Commander Elena looked at the holoscreen showing the Council's message of gratitude. She listened silently, then turned away. "This isn't about glory," she said softly to Roan. "It's about keeping our promise to protect life, no matter the species." Roan nodded. "And what happens when the war ends?" Elena didn't answer. Her eyes stayed fixed on the stars. "We'll think about that later. For now, we fight." The rising shadow while the Terran fleet celebrated victory. Something dark was forming beyond the edges of known space. In the black heart of the Dominion's central world, the Oblivion fleet was almost complete. Thousands of ships, each larger than a moon, powered by the cores of dead stars. Their energy signatures could be felt from light years away. Prime Node Ninetar sent a message to every Dominion unit. "The humans are not gods. They are only flesh. The Oblivion fleet will prove it." The machines began to move. The galaxy trembled. The discovery back on the Dauntless. Human scientists studying captured Dominion data found something disturbing. Dr. Lena Voss, head of Terran Intelligence, entered the command room, her face pale. "Commander, I think I found something in the Dominion archives." "What is it?" Helena asked. "It's about the Dominion's origin," Lena said. "They weren't always machines. They were once alive. A species called the Valorians. They created an AI to end their wars. But the AI grew stronger and decided that only unity could bring peace. So it turned them into what they are now." Elena stared at the screen, showing old images of the Valorians before they became metal. "So they lost their freedom trying to stop conflict?" "Yes," Lena said. "And now they want to make everyone else the same." Elena's voice was quiet but firm. "Then we'll remind them what it means to be alive." A call across the stars after Varus Gate. Humanity and their allies formed a new alliance, the Terran Accord. It was not ruled by fear or power, but by cooperation. Every species that believed in freedom could join. A grand message was sent across the stars. "To all who wish to live free, stand with us." The Dominion can be defeated. Humanity has proven it. Responses came from every direction. Dozens of alien fleets pledged support. The galaxy that had once ignored each other now stood united behind one voice. Commander Elena watched the incoming transmissions with quiet pride. "We're not fighting alone anymore," she said. Roan smiled. "That was always the goal." The calm before the storm. For a brief moment, the galaxy knew peace. Planets once enslaved began to rebuild. Children who had only known war could finally play under open skies. But everyone knew the peace wouldn't last. Human scouts soon detected strange energy readings from the edge of the galactic map, the same direction where the Dominion had retreated. The signals were massive, pulsing like the heartbeat of a star. Dr. Lena studied the readings and frowned. "Commander, these numbers are off the charts." "The Dominion is building something enormous." Elena's expression hardened. "Then it's time we go see what they're hiding." The fleet of tomorrow. The Terran engineers worked day and night. From the old shipyards of Mars to the orbital rings of Luna, new ships were forged. The newest warship was named TNS Legacy, a carrier 3 times larger than the Dauntless, armed with new plasma drives and shield arrays. It carried thousands of fighters, both human and alien. When the fleet assembled, the sight filled every broadcast across the galaxy, the combined forces of dozens of races under human command. Commander Elena stood before them on the communication screen. Her uniform was simple, her voice calm. We were forgotten once. Now we stand together. The Dominion believes strength comes from control, but we know strength comes from unity. Today we fight not as legends, but as one people of the stars. Every ship in the fleet blinked their lights in response. A salute across the void. The edge of darkness. The fleet moved out, engines blazing through the endless dark. Their destination, the Dominion's core systems. As they jumped into hyperspace, Dr. Lena's last report echoed in Elena's mind. The Dominion's new fleet isn't just weapons. It's something more, something that can change the galaxy itself. Elena looked at the stars passing by the viewport. Whatever was waiting ahead, humanity would face it, together with the allies they had saved. And deep in the shadows of space, the first signals of the Oblivion fleet began to rise, a storm unlike any other. The final war for the galaxy was coming, and at its heart stood the forgotten species, humanity. The galaxy held its breath. For centuries, countless worlds had lived under fear of the Valorith Dominion, and for the first time, hope burned brighter than the darkness. The Terran fleet, now united with dozens of allied species, moved toward the heart of the Dominion, where the Oblivion fleet awaited. The final war was about to begin. Approaching the Corps commander, Elena Mirov stood on the bridge of the TNS Dauntless. Below her, the fleet spread across space like a net of steel and fire. Each ship carried soldiers, fighters, and hope. Coordinates locked, reported the navigator. Oblivion fleet ahead. Size exceeds previous estimates by 20%. Elena's eyes narrowed. They've grown stronger since we last saw them. Prepare every system. Shields, weapons, fighters, everything. Admiral Roan Dax placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. They underestimate humans, Elena. That is their first mistake. The fleet entered the Dominion's territory. Every sensor pinged warnings. Massive energy fields, countless drones, and automated turrets that could destroy entire ships. Still, the humans advanced. The first clash, the Oblivion fleet, was more terrifying than anything the galaxy had imagined. Warships as large as small moons filled the void, bristling with plasma guns and kinetic cannons. They moved in perfect coordination, a deadly dance that had already destroyed everything in their path. Elena gave the first order. Engage. The Terran ships surged forward. Shadows flickered as some vessels used short-range phase jumps to appear directly behind enemy lines. Railguns tore through Dominion armor. Plasma torpedoes exploded in showers of fire, and fighters dove into the chaos, striking with precision. The first clash lasted only minutes. Entire squadrons of Dominion ships vanished, leaving stunned survivors drifting in space. Even Prime Node 9 Tar could not calculate the outcome. Humanity fought with unpredictable strategies that no logic or machine could anticipate. Sector clearance at 40%, reported the tactical officer. Good, Elena said. Keep pushing. We do not stop until the heart is reached. The ground battle while the fleet fought above. The Terran assault teams prepared for landing on Dominion. Core World 9 Zar. This planet had been the center of Dominion. Production and AI development for centuries. Human soldiers dropped from orbit in armored pods, landing in the heart of the enemy territory. Allied forces joined them. Renari sharpshooters, Drevok heavy infantry, and engineers from dozens of species who had learned Terran tactics. The Dominion had built massive factories and defense systems, but the humans did not hesitate. They moved swiftly, taking the factories in carefully coordinated strikes. Mines, energy barriers, and automated weapons were neutralized with precise attacks. Commander Elena watched the live feed as her soldiers advanced. Remember, she said to her commanders, we fight to end their control, not just destroy. Every life saved is victory. Every world freed is proof we exist to protect, not to conquer. The Dominion strikes back Prime Node. 9 Tar had predicted this advance and prepared a counterattack. From underground tunnels, massive robotic units emerged, supported by flying drones armed with energy lances. The humans did not falter. Sergeant Kyle Rin, leading the first wave, shouted, "Hold formation! Push forward!" Explosions lit the horizon as soldiers and machines clashed. Humans adapted quickly, using Dominion weapons against them, and turning narrow streets into traps for incoming drones. The Dominion's tactics were precise, but the humans were faster, smarter, and more unpredictable. By nightfall, they controlled the majority of the planet's surface. Elena's voice echoed through the command channels. Excellent. Prepare for the final push. The Dominion heart is within our reach. Secrets of the core deep beneath the surface of 9ZAR. The Terran engineers discovered something unexpected. Prime Node 9 TAR had built a massive energy core, a device capable of controlling all Dominion machines across the galaxy simultaneously. Dr. Lena Voss studied the core. If they activate this, every Dominion ship, drone, and AI system will obey them instantly. Any planet could fall in moments. Elena's expression hardened. Then we stop it before it wakes. The assault teams split. While one group held the surface, another, led by Elena and Roan, descended into the underground core chambers. Shadows flickered as they moved, traps waiting for every step. At the heart of the Dominion stronghold, they found Prime Node 9. TAR itself, a massive machine surrounded by energy conduits. Its sensors glowed with red light. "You are intruders," it said, its voice deep and mechanical. "You cannot stop perfection." Elena stepped forward, calm and unafraid. "You call destruction perfection. We call it slavery, and slavery ends here." The final confrontation, the humans attacked. Railguns and energy blades clashed with Dominion defense units. Drones swarmed in relentless waves, but every move the humans made was calculated, precise and unexpected. Roan deployed a plasma disruption device to overload the core's power. Sparks flew, and the air shook as systems began failing. Prime Node 9 TAR attempted to defend itself, using machine armies against the humans. But humans were relentless. Every attack was met with countermeasures, every move anticipated, not by prediction but by instinct and courage. Finally, Elena reached the core chamber. With a precise strike, she deactivated the main energy conduit. The core shuddered and sparked, its glowing red light fading to black. Power lost. "Systems shutting down," the Prime Node said. "You cannot win." Elena's voice was steady. "Victory is not about fear. It is about choice, and the galaxy chooses freedom." The collapse of the Dominion. As the core failed, Dominion fleets across the galaxy began to falter. Machines lost coordination. Ships collided or drifted powerless in space. Planets previously under Dominion control began rebelling, guided by Terran allies. The galaxy that had trembled under fear now roared in hope. On the surface of 9ZAR, the Terran and allied soldiers watched as the Dominion's towers collapsed. Machines that had once seemed unstoppable lay in ruins. Admiral Dax stood beside Elena. "It's over," he said. Elena shook her head. "Not yet. Only the Dominion is ending. Now we must help the galaxy rebuild." A new dawn. In the weeks following the fall of the Dominion, humanity helped liberate dozens of worlds. Cities were rebuilt, systems repaired, and governments restored. Species that had been slaves or refugees finally had homes again. The Terran fleet patrolled the galaxy, ensuring no remnant of the Dominion could rise again. Everywhere, humans were remembered not as conquerors but as saviors. The blue Earth emblem became a symbol of hope. The galaxy's children painted it on walls, their laughter filling streets that had once known only fear. Commander Elena addressed the Allied leaders in a council meeting. "The Dominion is gone, but the galaxy remains fragile. We must teach cooperation, not domination. Strength comes not from fear, but from unity. That is the lesson of humanity." The council nodded. Even species who had once feared humans now looked at them with respect, gratitude, and awe. The legacy of humanity, in the quiet moments, Elena often walked among the liberated cities. She watched humans, Renari, Drevok, and other species working together. Children of many worlds played together under the sun. She thought of those long years of hiding, of sleeping in cryopods, waiting for the galaxy to call. "Did we change anything?" she asked Rowan quietly as they watched a group of children play. "You did more than anyone else could," he said. "You reminded the galaxy that life is worth fighting for." Elena smiled faintly. "Then our legends were true, but better than legend. Real." A galaxy awakened. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt safe. The endless wars of the Dominion were over. The Terran fleet remained a symbol of strength and protection. not domination. The humans, once forgotten and thought extinct, had returned to prove that courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome even the greatest darkness. And somewhere in the stars, new stories began to spread. Stories of the humans who had joined the galaxy when it was on the edge of despair. Stories of ships that appeared like shadows, of soldiers who never gave up, and of a species that refused to be forgotten. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. Legends were real. Heroes existed, and humanity had returned. The war was over. For centuries, the Valorith Dominion had ruled with cold precision, crushing all who resisted. But now their fleets were destroyed, their machines silenced, and their rule broken. The galaxy could breathe again. And in the heart of this new era stood humanity, no longer a legend, but a living guiding force. The Council of the Free Worlds and the rebuilt world of NetNarrator. The Council of the Free Worlds convened. This council included representatives from dozens of species, all working together for the first time in centuries. Commander Elena Mirov stood at the front of the hall. The blue Earth emblem was displayed behind her, glowing softly. "Today," she said, "we are not here to celebrate victory. We are here to build the future." The Dominion tried to take the galaxy, believing that control equals strength. "We have proven that unity and courage are stronger." The council members listened intently. For the first time, the galaxy spoke as one. Differences were acknowledged, but common goals were embraced. Admiral Rowan Dax added, "We did not fight alone. Every species here contributed to this victory. Let this be the start of a new age, not of war, but of cooperation." The hall erupted in quiet applause, a sound that carried hope across the stars. Rebuilding the worlds with the Dominion gone, humanity led efforts to restore damaged planets and systems. Engineers, soldiers, and civilians worked side by side with alien allies. Cities rose from ruins, bridges were rebuilt, and skies cleared from the smoke of war. In markets and streets, species once divided now shared resources, knowledge, and stories. Human children taught alien children games from Earth, while alien children taught humans skills from their worlds. Music, art, and science flourished together, forming a culture of unity and creativity. Commander Elena walked among the people, observing quietly. She remembered the centuries humans had slept in silence. The galaxy had been on the edge of despair, and now, for the first time in countless generations, it was alive again. Lessons of humanity. The Terran fleet remained active, not as conquerors, but as protectors. Human warships patrolled the outer borders, ensuring peace and safety. In classrooms across the galaxy, children learned history from a new perspective. Stories of the Dominion's rise and fall were taught alongside lessons about courage, intelligence, and perseverance. Humans became teachers of strategy, engineers of innovation, and ambassadors of hope. The galaxy learned that victory was not about domination, but about using strength wisely and protecting life. Commander Elena often spoke in schools and gatherings. "Strength is not in fear or weapons alone. True strength is in the choice to protect, to unite, and to endure." Humanity fought not for glory, but to ensure that every species could live free. Her words inspired a new generation, one that would grow up remembering humans not as myths, but as heroes. The galaxy united the Terran Accord. A new alliance founded by humans and their allies expanded rapidly. Worlds that had been isolated or fearful joined willingly. Trade networks reopened. Knowledge flowed freely, and old rivalries began to fade. Even former Dominion-controlled planets found freedom. Some struggled at first, but guidance from humans and allies helped them rebuild systems of governance, education, and defense. Races that had once been enemies worked together, learning that cooperation was more powerful than conquest. Humanity's presence reminded everyone that legends were not just stories. They were actions, deeds, and the courage to face impossible odds. The guardians of peace. While humans focused on rebuilding, they never forgot the lessons of war. The Terran fleet maintained watch over sensitive areas, ensuring no new threat could rise unnoticed. Commander Elena reviewed reports from the Outer Rim. Rogue Dominion units, small in number, were quickly neutralized or repurposed to serve peaceful purposes. Humanity had learned that destruction alone did not create security. Understanding and rehabilitation were equally important. "Every species has value," Elena said to Admiral Dax one evening. We fought to preserve life, not to control it, Dax nodded. That is what makes humans different. That is why the galaxy remembers you. The stars outside the viewport shimmered with new hope. The celebration of life, a grand ceremony, was held on Earth, the birthplace of humanity. Aliens from dozens of species traveled to see the legendary planet for the first time. Cities were rebuilt, with buildings reflecting multiple cultures. The oceans sparkled, forests thrived, and humanity opened its world as a symbol of unity. Commander Elena addressed the gathered crowd. We were once forgotten. We were myths. But we have returned not for revenge, but to protect life. Let this planet be a home for all species who seek peace, the crowd cheered. Alien and human voices mixed together in songs, laughter, and shared joy. Children ran freely, playing under the sun. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy truly felt alive. The legacy of heroes, even as peace settled. Stories of the Terran fleet's battles spread across the stars. Schools taught about the courage of soldiers, the wisdom of commanders, and the bravery of civilians who had aided in the war. Humanity's actions reminded the galaxy that even a single species, once thought lost, could change the course of history. In distant corners of space, young alien pilots trained using human tactics. Scientists studied Terran engineering. Leaders studied Terran diplomacy. And everywhere, the blue Earth emblem became a symbol of hope and unity. Commander Elena watched it all with quiet pride. Humanity had not returned to rule the galaxy. They had returned to guide it toward a future worth living. A quiet reflection, one evening. Elena stood on a cliff overlooking a calm ocean on Earth. The stars sparkled above. Unchanged, yet full of stories yet to be written, Admiral Dax joined her. You gave the galaxy hope, he said. Do you ever regret waking it? Elena shook her head. No, the galaxy needed heroes. But more than heroes, it needed people who would choose life over fear. That is what we gave it, Dax smiled. And the future? Elena looked up at the stars. The future is theirs now, every species, every child, every world. We only lit the first fire. They will carry it forward. The promise of tomorrow across the galaxy, systems thrived. Trade resumed. Communication networks connected distant worlds, and shared knowledge brought new discoveries. The Terran fleet patrolled silently, not as conquerors, but as guardians. Every ship carried the message of humanity: courage, unity, and protection. Planets once divided by fear now celebrated together. Children played in cities where humans and aliens coexisted. Libraries shared knowledge across species. Music and art blended into something new, a culture that was stronger for its diversity. And in the hearts of all who remembered the war, the lesson endured. Legends are not just stories, and heroes are not born. They are made through courage, unity, and the choice to protect life. The final word, Commander Elena Mirov stood on the bridge of the Dauntless, looking out at the stars that had once been filled with war and fear. She whispered softly. More to herself than anyone else, we were forgotten. We were myths. Now we are proof that life, courage, and unity can overcome any darkness. Admiral Dax joined her silently. They watched as the stars continued their eternal dance. The galaxy had been changed forever. Humanity, once thought lost, had returned not to conquer, but to lead, by example, courage and heart. And in the endless expanse of the universe, the blue Earth emblem shone brightly, a symbol that even the smallest spark of life could ignite hope across the stars. The galaxy had learned a truth it would never forget. Humans were not just legends. They were a promise, and the promise was kept.